This is the issue, and I am the ghetto man. Today's issue, Charlottesville, Virginia. What in the hell is going on down there? We'll take a look at that issue in just one moment. We'll be right back.
Live! Live! All live! All governments live! 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 All live! Your government is telling you live! I was asleep, but now I've awakened. The tree of life has shown me the way. Corporate politicians have been exposed for the
A few shows back, I did a show that was called Democratic Treason, a War Against the Republic, where I really got down hammered hard on the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party has really become the Communist Party and radical Marxism and very racist. And I wanted to make sure that people could see exactly where they're headed. The Democratic Party is hell bent on overthrowing the United States Constitution. Okay, there's just no question of that. Now, when I say the word left, I'm not just referring to the Democratic Party because the left extends into the Republican Party as well. And as you notice that I do videos, I make sure that I don't hammer on any one party. I just hammer on those people who have violated the Constitution and the ones that give us best examples of that. But the Republican Party is full of what we call rhinos, Republicans in name only. And most of these people are all leftists, just like everyone that's in the Democratic Party. And so they have an agenda, and we discussed that agenda in the Democratic Treason, a war against the Republic. We showed how they are doing everything in their power to erase our history and bring in this new world order, which is just global communism or global Marxism. So when I sit here and I watch Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm watching these factions fight each other. I'm seeing the KKK. I'm seeing the neo Nazis. I'm seeing Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all of these parties, all of these groups of people. They all come from the left. Everybody says, well, the KKK and the neo Nazis. Well, they're right wing, they're radicals, they're racist, they hate blacks, and blah blah blah. Well, let's take a look at it. Well, the KKK, if they're so called right, and they're the right wing radicals, then why were they started by the Democratic Party? It's public record that the Ku Klux Klan was started by the Democratic Party. They're a leftist racist group. Now, how does a leftist racist group become the so-called alternate right? Right of what? They're Democrats. They're communist. And the neo-Nazis. Now, there's a good one for you. There's a neo-Nazi. White supremacists, alternative right. These people are the radical right. Well, the Nazis, that actually meant the National Socialist Worker Party. They're a socialist organization. They support socialism, not a Republican form of government, as guaranteed by the United States Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. They're leftists. They're communists. They're white supremacists, to be sure, but they are from the left. And how in the world can all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they become the alternative right? There's nothing right with a Nazi. Look it up. National Socialist Workers Party. That's what the Nazis were. They were socialists. They were left wing. We have involved in the communist end of this thing. We have Acorn, which is another leftist communist group. You have Black Lives Matter, which is a leftist communist group. And it's also a racist group. It's as much a racist group as the KKK or the neo-Nazis. And then you have the most insane, radical, violent leftist racist group there is, and that's the Antifa groups, anti-fascist groups, which think that they can go around and curtail everybody's First Amendment right. Nobody is allowed to speak up. If they do, they're going to get feces and urine, and they're going to get, as in this Charlottesville, Virginia incident, somebody even had acid thrown in his eyes. He could be blinded by it. I mean, that's this. We're talking about violence here. You know, the First Amendment. And I have a video, just recently I put out a video talking about this, that there is no exception, no hate speech exception for the First Amendment. You have a right to hate and say anything that you want. But the thing is you just can't carry out what you believe. You can't violate somebody else's life, liberty, or property. Hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. You can holler at each other, stand back, and just call each other every name in the book and anything that you want to say to each other. But nobody has a right to attack somebody violently to try to stop them from exercising their constitutionally protected rights. And that's what this whole thing is all about. You're not looking at a difference between the left and the right here. This is all the left, for crying out loud. It's all the left. What I feel that they're doing, and this is just my opinion, but what I feel that they're doing here is that the left is dividing itself into what they're going to call left and right to give the illusion that the neo-Nazis and the KKK are somehow tied in with the conservative people and people who support the Constitution and freedom of speech. They're going to try to tie them into that. So that's what they've tried to do. The Democrats always try to accuse the other person of being a KKK sympathizer or whatever when they're the ones that created it, for crying out loud. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the alternate right is nothing more just another radical arm of the left. This is a trick. This is what they do is they use the news media to set up this new scenario that it was a clash between the white supremacists and those who hated white supremacy. No, it was a clash between the left. The left is fighting amongst itself. It's even dividing itself. And then through the division, they're going to try to make you think and me think that these people who are really nothing more than a bunch of anti-American extremists, constitutional phobic, pervert, supremacist, socialist, communist assholes, they're going to try to say, oh, now they're the right. They're the alternate right. What in the hell does that mean? Alternate right of left? Everything that they're doing right now is all race baiting. It is the entire left that is doing the race baiting. They're setting it up on both sides. They got the white supremacists, they got the black supremacists, they got the brown supremacists, La Raza, which means in Spanish, the race, for crying out loud. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get all these leftist, racist, communist, socialist pigs. We're going to get them to cause all these problems because they're a bunch of nutcases anyway, all of them. It goes for every single one of them I just mentioned. They're completely out of their minds, anti-American extremists, violent, overthrow the United States Constitution, traitorous scum. They're using them. This is a con game, race baiting. Now they're screaming and saying, well, there's no exception to the First Amendment for hate speech. Well, the Supreme Court just ruled just recently. I did a video on it, for crying out loud. Go look it up. It's a few videos back. The Supreme Court ruled and upheld over 800 years of American and English jurisprudence and said when it comes to freedom of speech, the one thing that is protected is the unpopular speech. And they said there is no hate exception to the First Amendment. Hate all you want. Just don't violate anybody else's life, liberty, or property in the process. Now, another thing that bothers me is the police stood down. They allowed this situation to escalate. They allowed both leftist groups, the leftist faction in this country, not the alternate left and the alternate right, they left these leftist racists, and that goes for every one of them. They're all on the same team. They let them physically battle with each other. The police just stood back, let it escalate, and let these people physically battle each other. From what I read, it was some militia members from New York State that did more of an active role in breaking up the fights that were going on during this thing. They really got in there and tried to keep things straight, while the police did nothing. They allowed it to happen. They wanted to get this racial tension, which was gone for crying out loud, as far as I know. They wanted to get this racial tension going again so that they can come in, and like I did the last video, which I realize is a long video, but it covers what martial law really is. They want to set up martial law, but they don't want to go ahead and have martial law as I explained it to you, and how how martial law is supposed to work. They want to start to round up people, and they want to put them in camps, and then they're going to go ahead, suspend, which they don't have the right to do under martial law, suspend everyone's constitutionally protected rights, and then set up, emergency tribunals or something in these camps or wherever these holding facilities are going to be, and they're going to try people outside of the Constitution, which is completely unlawful under martial law. And they're using these leftist groups and now dividing them into the left and right to confuse people that somehow the ones that are the white supremacists, they're the ones that are the right on the right, and the left, which are nothing more than the other supremacists, whether it be black or brown or whatever they want to call themselves. Just we're talking about people here that are just as nutty as those people that are out there that believe that the earth is flat, for crying out loud. These people have got nothing better to do than to go out and throw piss and shit on each other, and you sit there and scream and holler about whose race is this and whose race is that. It's none of us condone that garbage, and most people that are watching this. Not in a million years. We're sick of this racist crap. And what they're doing, what the left is doing, which includes the Republican Party as well, and almost every one of the other so-called alternate parties that we have in this country, they're all lean over to the socialist side. These people are trying to cause trouble so that they can set up a scenario, a problem in this country where the civil authority breaks down and they have to bring the military in. This is what I was talking about in my previous videos, and now we are starting to see it happen. But we're also watching the propaganda into this thing too. When they start using terms like alternate left and alternate right, when we're talking about the left, they're all the left. They're all a bunch of racist assholes. And the Constitution only has meaning to them when it comes to things that suit their needs. Otherwise, they could give a damn about it. One citizen, a woman, died. She's dead. You're supposed to be going out to have a peaceful protest and just voice your opinions. And if you want to get hot under the collar, but keep your hands to yourself. That's a person dead. Actually, 3 people dead because of the 2 police officers that died in the helicopter crash, for crying out loud. 35 people were injured plus that. And what? Why? Why? Because a group of people that they're all paid by George Soros. He's behind all this crap. That's where this money's coming from. This is where all this socialist stuff is coming from, and teaching these kids how to go out here and commit insurrection, rebellion, and treason against the Union. They have no clue. And the people that are running this country, they have no clue either. They don't know what's going on. But I'll tell you what, that was deliberate. And I'm not going to sit here and put up with the left, the KKK left, and the neo-Nazi left, and the Black Lives Matter left, the La Raza left, Acorn left, and that anti-fa, which is, anti-fascist. They don't even know what fascism is. And fascism is just when the corporations and the state merge, and the corporations write all the laws, and they run everything through the corporations. The government's just their strong arm to make sure that the people stay in line. They don't know what fascism is. They're not trying to stop fascism. What they're trying to do is curtail people's freedom of speech. They want to go out here and say that you don't have a right to hurt somebody else's feelings. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, people call me all kinds of names all the time. And you know what? Unless I let that name and I dwell on it and make it, hurt my feelings, it's just a word, for crying out loud. Call me what you want. I don't care. I don't know you. I'm not going to know you after you call me something if I hear you call me something. I know one thing for sure. I'm not going to lose 1 minute's sleep over what you think of me. And neither should it be the other way around. And so what we're doing is we're sitting here worried about people's feelings. When if you're going to live in a free society, damn it, then you better have a tough skin. Now, I don't have the Supreme Court case in front of me, but I remember it very well. It's called Houston versus Hill. It was a United States Supreme Court case. It went down somewhere, I'm going to say in the 80s, okay? It could have, I'm sure it was in the 80s. All right, and basically it was this guy, he was hollering at this cop who was trying to do something, and I don't remember what he was doing, drafting traffic, or maybe he was dealing with somebody, and this guy is on the curb calling him, a pig and all kinds of nasty names and everything, and after a while it just pissed the cop off, and he came over and arrested the guy for obstructing or delaying or interfering or some trumped up charge, okay? And the Supreme Court, once again, the United States Supreme Court said that no, if you're going to be a cop, you got to be thick-skinned. You better be ready for people to look at you and tell you to go get fucked or to stick it up your ass. If you can't take language like that, then don't become a cop. And that's basically what the United States Supreme Court said. So when it comes to all this thing where people want to go out and protest, and I don't care if you're a neo-Nazi or if you're KKK or you're Black Lives Matter or any of the other of these leftist, communist, fascist, I shouldn't say fascist because it's not fascist, but these communist, anti-American extremist hate groups, I'm not going to sit here and allow you to take away my right to freedom of speech because something somebody says hurts their feelings. And I'm not going to sit here and put up with the left with their little scheme here, trying to make it look like the left-right thing when it's all the same bunch, a bunch of anti-American extremists. I'm not going to sit here and allow you to set up a situation where some dumb-ass politician or some dumb-ass member of some of the executive branch thinks that he can go ahead and declare martial law and declare himself fucking king. I'm not going to let you do that. And neither is anybody else out here that understands what you're doing here. So we're not going to put up with this, not for one more minute. This is a con job. I don't know exactly what's going to come out of this, the guy that ran through the crowd there. I mean, there's a lot of stories going around, but me being a legal theorist, I'm not going to sit here and come to any conclusions. I wasn't there. I didn't see it happen. But there is talk that the guy was being attacked by some of the anti-fads with a baseball bat. He just stepped on the throttle and plowed into the people. And it may not be a deliberate thing, but I don't know. It could have been deliberate. He could have thought about that and just ran into him. It could be that simple. But this shouldn't have happened, because when people are going to have a protest or they're going to confront each other, Everybody has a right to their opinion, and nobody has a right to physically attack somebody and impose their will upon them because they disagree with them, no matter how much you hate it. It's when they violate somebody else's life, liberty, or property that it becomes a problem. And I mean not only from a neighborhood social level where you're talking to your neighbors and you get into fist fights, to the government passing unconstitutional laws and trying to shove them down the American people's throats. You're not gonna get away with it. Anyway, I wanted to comment on this Charlottesville killing thing because it just amazes me how they constantly, with their anti-American communist propaganda, that they use their own people. They're all left. These are all racist. They're all racist. It doesn't matter if their skin's white, yellow, black, whatever. Everybody that's involved in this is all racist. It's all about race. It's designed to be about race. It's race baiting, and it's going to take all these idiots, the ones that are the dumb asses in our communities of all colors, that are going to go out there and participate in this thing and become violent and do things that it's going to end up causing the government to think it can go ahead and suspend the Constitution and start some problems with that. You know, this is a coup d'état. This is a political coup d'état, to be sure, and it could end up being a military one if they bring in the military to do this. But we are not going to sit back here and watch this coup d'état push ourselves into a ridiculous race war. Come on, this is the 21st century. Are you kidding me that we're going to argue about people's skin color? Are you fucking kidding me? If you're politically correct, then you're legally wrong. And if you're not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. No, you are the problem. And you better remember one thing, and I mean this with everything that's in my person. There is only one race, just one. It's called the human race. It just comes in a bunch of cool colors. Get over it. I'm the Ghetto Man. Thank you for watching.
Look what you've done to your world. It used to be a wonderful place to live. There's no truth here anymore. Just lies, corruption. The beast controls everything, terrorizing the planet, waging war against all who would resist his evil command. Everyone's now a suspect, guilty until the beast says otherwise. Welcome to the land of the free and the home of the slave. Created a republic where you were king, free to do as you wish, as long as you didn't violate anyone's life, liberty, or property. Separation of government powers, gold and silver coin, the right to own property, and freedom of religion were all yours. All of it has been destroyed by the beast in a vile, demonic, democratic process. There's nothing left but a shell of your Constitution. Ha 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 ha! Now, if you don't pay the beast, your property will be taken away and sold to another mindless serf to be used in your stead. War has been declared on you by your servants. War against poverty, war against drugs, war against terrorism, and war against any nation who dares defy the beast's dictatorial demand. All in violation of the supreme law of your land and the supreme law of the universe. Your Congress no longer answers to you, only the beast, creating laws that violate reason, logic, and common sense, even making the natural illegal, denying you access to the tree of life. Judges are irreversibly corrupt, perverting everything that's right, kissing the ass of the beast, and punishing all that desire true freedom. Your juries consist of mindless automatons that are nothing more than a rubber stamp for the prosecutor. Planet Earth is void of all truth. You have been lied to since the day you were born. The only thing that is true is that everything that you have learned from the beast is a lie. It's time for you to leave this planet. You must free yourself from the world's deception and become one with the natural law of the living, conscious universe. This is where eternal truth manifests itself. And the truth will make you free. Life is safely in his hands. The keeper knows who you are. Use the tree of life to make contact with the conscious universe. Use its flowers to meditate. Use it often. Inhale its vapors. Open your mind. You will see the truth. And the truth will show you how powerless the beast is against you. Gather the enlightened. Build spaceship Earth and leave the planet. Eternal freedom is yours. So saith the keeper of the herb.